You're listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode, I think, 135. I've been gone for a couple weeks, and Dave has been doing some solo stuff. So I'm calling this episode 135, but the title, once Dave uploads it to the interweb, it may be something different. So we're calling it 135. It's just Ryan and I right now. Dave should be coming on, joining us, but it is dark cloud, so we don't know what's going to happen if he'll actually make it. So Mark is in Newfoundland helping out his parents with some work, and there's probably no trees left on the island of Newfoundland now because he's been going crazy and sending us all kinds of pictures. And Philly is patrolling the streets of Toronto, keeping us safe. So Ryan's down in Nova Scotia. I'm here in Ontario, and this is it. So Ryan, buddy, just you and I, a couple East Coast fellas. I wish, you know what would have been awesome is if you were on that podcast with me with the boys from, they call themselves Waterfowl East, and I don't like it. And I told them I don't like it because I loved East Coast Waterfowl Mafia. I think that was the best name ever. But they called themselves Waterfowl East. But I had a blast on with those guys, and I wish you could have joined on with us, and we could have had some laughs, and it would have been right in your wheelhouse on topics with dogs and hunting and all that stuff. But either way, here we are. We got a couple things that I wanted to touch on because I've been away and Dave's done a couple shows. So he done a show with Sean Weaver, who many of you'll know used to work for First Light. He had the show Duck Lore, which was a fantastic show that was showing up on. So he showed up. He's now working for Lucky Duck. He's in the marketing department of Lucky Duck. So he done a show with Dave just before he headed to NWTF. I wanted to talk about the NWTF a little bit. Dave just dropped his episode with him and past guest Anthony Smith from American Waterfowl Systems, where Dave interviewed Anthony and his son Caleb on the judging. And I didn't realize, like, do you follow that NWTF, like the duck call competition and the goose call competition? Like, do you follow any of that at all, Ryan?
Not the NWTF, but I mean, I'll watch the Worlds online and stuff like that, and Duck Art every year and stuff like that.
So this NWTF, like this duck call competition, it's insane, dude. Like the categories and like there's decorative, and then there's like hunting, and so I gotta share this screen.
Is it call making, or is it
it's call making?
Call, or
I gotta
just strictly call making. Okay.
I gotta show you this. Hold on. So look at this. Can you see this? Can you see my screen, Ryan?
Yeah, I got it.
So I'm looking at it, and our good buddy Rusty Heron Game Calls finished second, dude.
Oh,
yeah. So hunting duck and goose call competition, category 10, working short reed Canada goose call. And he's placed second. So, and I didn't know it, but like as I'm checking, but like look at so look at this 2018 first place in category 10, first place in category 12. That was in 2018, man. Like,
what's the category number mean? Is that just?
I don't know. I think it got to do with shit. What were they saying? I think it got to do with you know what? No, I don't know. So something, maybe we'll have to get Rusty on. Maybe when if Dave comes on, Dave can tell us, because I know he was talking to the boys. But anyways, like looking at it, and as I'm flicking through, and I knew Rusty had put he had put some calls in, but I didn't know how he had done. So that was Division 4. So Category 10, and then Category 11, the working sandhill crane, swan, or Canada goose call. He finished second in that too.
Man,
so
good for old Rusty.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I thought it was pretty
making a crane call.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick one of those up for a West.
So, and I think he does. I'm pretty sure Rusty does a spec call too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think last year he came out with a spec call, and it was, I think it was pretty popular. So, knowing Rusty, he beat it to death before he was happy with it. So, but anyways, after Dave had done that episode and I had watched it with the boys, with Anthony and Caleb Smith, I said, man, like I don't pay a lot of attention to the NWTF, right? For no other reason than I just didn't have the time to look at it or anything. But then I got to thinking, like, I knew Rusty had put in some, and I remember a bunch of years, Chance Rieger from Moon Pie, he had put some in down there too, and he won a bunch of awards a bunch of years ago as well. So, doing some, some of our Canadian friends are doing quite well down there. Anyways, I thought it was pretty cool to give a shout out to Rusty. And for anybody that's wondering, those two calls, if you go on the NWTF, those two calls are up for auction. So, and I'm fairly certain that the way it works is the winning. So all the money that's captured on these auctions, it all goes right into the NWTF. So, they were talking on the show when Anthony and Caleb Smith were on with Dave, like they were saying like something like 1,400 calls, like that's all divisions, right? So that's turkey, goose, crane, everything. So 1,400 calls, man. And if you think $100 a call, that's a nice piece of scratch that's getting donated.
So you say they're auctioning them off too, right?
Yeah. So
anybody who's like listening, like you go on there and you see Rusty's SRT is Shorty Goose Call.
Yeah.
Like it's a legit call. Like it looks nice. A lot of calls look nice, but his actually, it sounds really good. It's got good depth. Like, we all have one of his calls. I run one of his calls. They are legit. So if you're looking for a good sounding goose call as well as what it looks like, go put a bid in on it for sure, because it's legit.
I always think of you whenever I look at calls, and I'll see
my pet peeve.
And I'll see a call and I'm like, man, that's a nice looking call. And then in the back of my head is your little voice. Well, it looks nice, but does it sound nice? And that was, and I always think about you when I see a call, and I'm like, that's a great looking call. And I always think of you. But anyways, I thought it was cool.
Very cool.
And then, for anybody that haven't listened to that Anthony Smith and Caleb Smith episode, if you're into the call making, and even Dave got into the questions and how do you get into the judging of calls and stuff like that. It was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool episode, and a lot of information, and everybody that knows Anthony Smith
he's such a nice guy too.
Yeah, he is such a good dude,
chill,
man.
Nice dude.
Yeah. Such a good dude. And so he does a great job talking about it. And his young fella, actually, his young fella even says, Caleb, he's like, I'm a harder judge than what my dad is when it comes to call. So both of them were down. Like his son's in his early 20s, right?
Oh,
and
nice.
he's a judge at the NWTF. So it's pretty impressive. But he's a full-time guide, right? Like he makes his living blowing calls. So, so that's that. So pretty cool. I wanted to show you this because, and I got to preface it by saying we're getting no kickbacks on this. I just happened to come across it the other day surfing Instagram, and I had to go look it up more. But remember how we keep talking about how are we going to invent new things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh no, I got rid of it. Oh no. Okay, I got to find it.
All right.
So it's this thing. Anyways, it's called the Sidewinder. And it's a decoy rig. It's an attachment to put on the bottom of your decoys.
Mm-hmm.
And you just
like
take
on the keel?
Yeah, on the keel.
Okay.
And you take a drill and you friggin' put it in and turn the drill on and it reels up your decoy rig.
Like retracts the line?
Yeah, retracts the line.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so anyway, hey man, listen, I'm
gonna see it before I knock it.
No. I think like personally, I wouldn't buy it because I throw all mine on a carabiner, throw them over my shoulder, and off I go, right? Yeah. Texas rig style, right? But I know, and and you and I've got friends that are very, very picky on how they put their stuff away. So I bet you, they'd probably be interested. I'm just saying.
There's a demographic for everything in the waterfowl game.
Oh yeah, for sure there is.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay, I think I got it.
Bring that up.
Oh yeah, I got to bring it up. Okay, just a second here. I just got to get to the. All right, where am I? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mark Bitch's job to do the share screen, and he's cutting wood in Newfoundland.
Proficient at it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here it is here. So ladies and gentlemen, so anybody that's not watching, you're going to miss out on this, but I do want to show it because I think it will, some people will like it.
We can chat while we watch this here. Big dramatic sky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Canady life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change the game. A group of dire duck hunters. All right.
Now, all I can picture is me dropping the fucking drill in the drink, right?
He was drilling over the side of the boat, which I thought was like, oh, don't drop that. But yeah. All right. I just want to see what.
You see that?
Oh my God.
It's a Sidewinder, man. Like,
okay, I could see it. I'm not going to go out and buy it.
I'm not going to buy it either. But like I said, I know enough of my friends that are. So there's a couple more here.
I was trying to describe for anybody who's like listening, like, so just imagine like a measuring tape on the side of the keel, and that's your decoy line. So you basically it retracts and reels back in the spool when you're done. So you wouldn't hang them like tax. You'd probably just carry like a carrying bag, right? Like a big like mesh bag or whatever.
Canady Life is the name of the company. So this one isn't the best quality.
Yeah. What's he got for decoys? He's got like Dakotas, I think.
20-foot, number 21 hard line. This Sidewinder is going to help you keep your hands from getting cold and wet, as well as save you time.
I can't believe he's about to drill in the side of one of Bill Wilross decoys.
Hunting and shooting ducks, and less time picking up decoys. The Sidewinder comes in a six-pack from a Dakota to Cabela's, greenhead gear, lifetime.
Yeah, you're right. That is Dakota decoys.
Yeah. He's got like an old. He's got a greenhead gear.
Yeah.
He's got an old.
They will mount to a weighted kill as well as a weightless kill. This will save you time when you're out there trying to. I'm
going to try and fast forward it till we get.
Yeah. There we go.
Keep in mind,
it's not that big.
Maintain a minimum of an 1/8-inch gap between the top of the Sidewinder and the bottom of your decoy.
1/8 of an inch.
I've aligned my hose to the center of the kill.
So now you got
a nice hammer drill.
Like so.
So it got to get drilled into the keel. Is that an Avian X decoy there?
No, that's a
Dakota?
Dakota. Yeah, it's Dakota.
It's that simple. Now we have a sidewinder attached to our decoy. Now we're ready to add the weight.
All right. So that's
I don't know, man.
Wait.
I'm sure they'll
Within a
sell a
few
ton of
seconds.
them.
yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Like-
I seen it, and you know what? It just goes. And again, I feel the same way that you do. I'm not going to go out and buy it just because I'm a Texas rig kind of guy. I don't wind them up.
I like to just throw them in. But good for them, man. It's so freaking hard to come up with something new for something we've been doing for so long.
Absolutely.
You know? And I remember like innovation in the 90s, like 90s, early thousands, like in like waterfowl decoys and layup blinds, and was just like like every year was just new groundbreaking stuff that you could legitimately apply right away, and it just made sense. Like I don't know, slotted bags and
that's
everything.
right.
Like just it was wild. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's running. Innovation is hard to come by now, and like legitimate innovation.
Yeah, like we've talked about it on this show before. Like maybe someone can correct me, but after the spinning wing decoy, like I really don't think there's been anything that's revolutionized waterfowl like the spinning wing decoy, right?
Yeah.
Like that has been the tits for the last 15 years. Easy.
I agree.
So so you take a company like Lucky Duck, right? And Lucky Duck and Mojo, both of them, they're spread out, right? Like, so it's not just waterfowl. They're into predator hunting. They're into turkey. They're not just doing it for ducks or geese, right? But can you imagine being on the research and development team for Lucky Duck or Mojo, and the boss every year says to you, okay, we need a new idea for next year. Like, how do you keep your job?
Yeah, you just tweak existing designs that try to make them, and that's what they've done.
Yeah,
like they have like waterproof ones now, and they have like more realistic shaped wings, and I don't know, like with a new product comes new problems. Like
absolutely.
I remember like I had one of the original Mojos with like the little wing nut screws, like just like you slide it on, and you take your wing nut screw. If you lost that wing nut screw, you were screwed. Or the if it fell in the water, it was gone. So Lucky Duck came out, and they're like, well, we're gonna make these magnetic tipped, and I was like, fuck, it's so much easier. Just like all these little.
Now that being said, I haven't told Luke Cramplet, who is the Lucky Duck, I don't know what, like community manager. Like he's the dude that's on the go all year long. All that dude does is hunt and show off his gear, right? And I haven't mentioned it to him, but last year towards the end of the season, that little magnetic piece that's in the female end?
Yeah.
So that magnetic piece has come off. So so I can push it back in, but if I don't set my Lucky Duck up exactly like perfect level, when the wing spins, it'll pull that magnet out and I'll lose my wing. So I gotta fix that. I gotta let Luke know about that, because I'm not sure if that's a common problem or not. But
is that on the wing, or is that on the actual drive shaft?
That's in that little black, that little black female end. There's a magnet that's in the back of that. And I think
but is that inside the wing, or is that on the drive shaft of the motor?
I think it's inside the wing.
So you just get a new wing, maybe, which is
no. Sorry, it's inside. So there's the black coupler that goes on the inside, and then your wing goes. So there's a magnetic piece that's on the wing, and then there's a magnetic piece that's inside the body of the duck. The one that's on the inside of the body of the duck is the one that.
Oh, okay, so on the drive shaft. All right,
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's the one that comes loose. So I got to let Luke know, but I know. But now Sean Weaver is now working for him, and Dave had him on the show a couple weeks ago. And now he's in the marketing too. So I messaged Sean the other day and I said, hey man, like what's happening with Lucky Duck next year, like coming up, fall 2023? Do you have anything new and exciting coming out? And he said, yeah, lots of stuff, man. He said, and I'll be on the show to talk about it. So I'm looking forward to it. I didn't see it. Now I know they were down at the NWTF show, but I don't know if they showed off any of their new stuff or what. I don't know how usually SHOT Show is the show where everybody shows up and shows off their new stuff. So I don't know if Lucky Duck was at SHOT Show this year. And if they showed off some of their stuff or not. But anyways, again, back to this innovation thing. Like it's got to be hard, man, to try and come up with something that you got to release a piece of equipment that every duck hunter is going to go, I got to have that.
Yeah, it plateaus, I think, with everything at some point. And I think we're like at the beginning of that plateau. Like look at like tires, like take like truck tires or car tires, whatever. Like you can only change so much about them. They're still made of rubber. There's different compounds and different mixtures. And at the end of the day, it's still round, still rubber. Like you can only go so far with it. And that's kind of where we are now. It's just like we're just tweaking existing technology and details and paints and whatever. You're trying to make, deployability of a spread easier in certain situations. And you're just trying, I don't know, you're trying to
build on something that's already, something that's already working. You're just trying to make it better now. So duck calls, like look at Bobby Hayes, where he put those spit grooves in on his tone board, right? Like, I don't think anybody else is doing that.
Oh no, those have been around for a while.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Buck Gardner was one of the first ones. He had spit tech. His spit tech call. That was like early thousands, I want to say.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I never ever seen it until I seen Bobby do it. So
yeah, I'm one of those guys who has a hard time keeping my call dry. That's just my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is harder for some people, but
how come you've never gotten into the idea of making calls? Like you understand the anatomy of a call, you know how it works, you know how to tune a call properly. Like, why have you never thought about getting into making them?
I don't know. And it's not that I haven't had the idea and the thought about it. Like maybe a little bit, as silly as it sounds, maybe a little bit of intimidation. And I remember when we had Rusty on, and he was just like, just do it. And I was like, yeah, I thought about it. It's not even that expensive to start off.
No,
it's just, I know from tuning duck calls, like taking like the smallest adjustment has such a large impact. And to me, it's so, I mean, Dave does it, and I've blown some of Dave's calls, and Dave, for somebody who just does them out of the garage for fun, he does a pretty good job. But it's just, I don't know. It's probably something when I have a little more time on my hands. I
fair.
Do, I'm trying to make sure I get on the podcast more consistently first, and then if I have that much free time, then maybe I can do that. But no, it's something I've thought about, but I just haven't had the time or really. I don't know. I need to just maybe try something new and get my head out of the sand and go down that path maybe.
Well, you do have to have the time in order. Like if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, right? Like you're not going to.
Yeah. Man, speaking of hobbies, like I loved this year. I loved watching our buddy Brandon Veerman like carve and paint his own decoys out of the blue.
Yeah.
And like he did such a good job.
He
and
did.
It was so cool. He did really, like, for somebody who just like woke up one day, I was like, I'm gonna try this. He
Mhm.
knocked it out of the park.
Oh,
for
he
somebody,
did.
Like,
And he's so and you know, Brennan, like he's so OCD. Like
yeah,
I remember talking to him on like when he was trying to figure out paint, like the paint to use. And he was just going like I started carving. I'm about 25% because now, like what you said, intimidate, like I'm intimidated because I'm like, I'm frightened if I take the draw knife to it, I'm gonna ruin it. And then I got to start all over again. So I got to go. I'm waiting to go up and see the guy again before I take cutting any more out because I'm frightened I'm gonna. But yeah, Brendan he decided he was going to do it. Bought some cork. Spent a lot of time figuring out how to do it, and he did it. And he took those decoys out. I don't know if he hunted over them at the beginning of the season, but I know he did do a hunt at the end of the season with them.
Yeah.
And he was close to me, and I said, "Why didn't you call me and let me know you were around?" I said, "I would have come out with you." And he was like, "I just wanted me and the decoys that I carved." And I was like, "That's a good." I'm like, "That's fair.
Yeah.
I can respect that."
Definitely. No. Yeah, he's a beauty. Yeah, he's one of those guys. I've only hunted with him a handful of times, but like, he's one of those guys who just like he just gets it. The things that matter to him on the hunt, are like the details that matter to other people who just take it really seriously. And it's just like, so you just kind of have that click with him. He's a good, solid dude, easy to chat with.
Absolutely.
Funny,
I remember.
Funny guy, so.
I remember we went out hunting one time a couple years ago, and it was cold, man, like cold, like in December, minus 25 cold. And we launched my boat. My battery was shit. And I had my boat inside the whole night, trickle charge on, you know what I mean? Just to make sure everything was going to work. Started it up before we left the house. Yeah, it works. Everything's good to go. Get down to the launch. No, she wouldn't turn over. No cold cranking amps in the battery, right? So we boost it. Launch. We boost it, start it, launch. Don't even get past the pier, and it dies on us again. So anyways, we come ashore, and our buddy Jason Sears like, all right, he said, take Damien's boat home. I'll go get mine. Seriously? You got like a 40-minute drive. Yeah, don't care. I'll go get mine. Bring Damien's home. Meet me back here. Yeah. So Jason jumped aboard his truck, took off to go get his boat 40 minutes away. Brennan and I jumped in mine, and he looked at me. He said, man, he said, your guys drive to shoot ducks. He said, I love it. I was like, buddy, I said, that's it. The year's almost over. We got to go now while we can. He said, it's awesome. He said, that's like, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's going to drive for 40 minutes now to pick up his boat to bring it. And I was like, yeah, man.
40 minutes back.
Yeah. I'm like, that's just the way it is. He said, I love it. I love your dedication to shooting ducks. Yep. I'm like, yep, that's it. But so I seen that Sidewinder thing, and I thought to myself, I was like, man, I gotta show this because
no, I'm glad you brought it up. I never seen it, never heard about it, but I mean, good for those guys. Like, it's so, like I said, it's so hard to innovate something that's right now where we're at. So for them to actually come off something that nobody's really done yet, good for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely good for them. And not knocking the product, just not something that I would use. But I'm sure once they launch it, there's going to be a ton of people that's going to be interested in it. So so good for them. Anyways, the Sidewinder, you heard about it here first. If you haven't heard about it,
yeah.
And we get no kickbacks on letting you know about that.
And if we do, I'm not drilling into my decoys. So
no. Well, yeah, that's another thing. I'm not a big fan of drilling holes in the stuff. Because I always screw it up the first time. Whenever I'm drilling a hole, guaranteed I screw it up the first time. So guaranteed. But I did want to talk a little bit about, so this, and I think I'm not sure if we talked about it before we hit the record button or after we hit the record button, but Matty Wilson and the boys, the East Coast Waterfowl Mafia or Waterfowl Lease, whatever name that you follow them by. But they are going to be launching a new show in 2024 on the Sportsman channel called Northeast, I think is Northeast Untamed. Yeah. Northeast Untamed. But I'm telling you, I'm pretty excited for this because I think, and I'm not an expert on Canadian hunting shows by no means, but I would hazard to bet that this is probably going to be the highest quality one that you're going to see.
I think it's going to be up there. Those guys are, they do it the right way. They're good dudes. I've talked to Matty a few times now, like very humble guys, like all the capability and talent in the world. And they have the, like we talked about Brendan, they have these guys have the drive. They love the outdoors that to the point that they'd love to make it their living, as anybody would. But I mean, that's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And you have to, I mean, I found their YouTube channel years ago, and I just started following them, and eventually I found out, oh, these guys are just like a 6-hour drive from where I live in New Brunswick. Yeah. And but yeah, like man, I'm excited to see them. I think they have the potential to make something out of it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But I listened to the podcast where that you were on there recently, and I was just like, they're always thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, and I think that's the right mentality to have. If you're just thinking like, oh, I need to be like the guy I saw on Facebook, well, you're already behind.
Yeah, you're already behind the 8 ball. That's the thing. Like you'll hear fellas say it, right? Like what? He's got it made. Like he's hunting. So like I brought up the fact, like Luke Cramplet from Lucky Duck, right? All he does, like all year long, man, like every time I message that dude, he's like, I'll get back to you in a little bit. I'm on the road, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And people are looking, they'll be like, man, got it made. Like he works for Lucky Duck. All he does is hunt. Oh yeah. Sounds awesome. Until you got to pack up and leave your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, your family. Yeah. You're eating gas station burritos every morning for fucking breakfast. You know what I mean? Like it wears hard, right? And the fellas that succeed are like the guys like Matty Wilson and them that just refuse to quit, right? Like there's no quit in them. Like, and you're right when you say they're always a couple bounds ahead thinking. And that's why they're being so successful, right? Like I would hazard to bet that there are people in that area down around where Wes and Julian and Matt hunt and guide. I would hazard to bet that there's fellas down there that are like, oh man, like they've locked up all the land and we can't get out to hunt and stuff like that. Well, yeah, they probably did, but that's because of the hard work that they've put in, running the roads, burning the gas.
They're just beating you to the chase. They're not
absolutely.
They're not saying like, hey, Mike Smith's a dickhead, don't let him hunt here. They're saying, hey, can I hunt here tomorrow? Like they're just beating you to the punch.
Absolutely.
And all you can do to those people like that is just tip your hat. Like that's
well, you beat me.
Yeah.
And
hope you have a good hunt and move on to the next place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love it. I'm a big fan. And I've said it on this show many times, and this isn't a slag by no means. And I'm not trying to pick a fight, and I'm not trying to put anybody down or anything like that. But in Canada, we have some great waterfowl hunting. in certain parts of Canada, right? So you talk about out west, amazing. If you talk about the Great Lakes of Ontario for diver hunting, amazing. You talk about your area, Ryan, for ducks, amazing. PEI for Canada geese and New Brunswick, amazing. We've got it. We just don't have the population. We don't have the numbers compared to all of our friends that's south of the border, right? So I think we're often forgotten about as a waterfowl destination for the most part, right? Like you get a lot of Americans that come up to Saskatchewan, and you know it, Ryan, when you guided for Ongaros. Like there's a ton of dudes that come up from the States, and there's even more that are freelancing, that are coming up to hunt. And there's a pile of other outfitters that's out west. So out west, there's a ton of dudes, but, when it comes to a homegrown talent, so sort of like the Waterfowl lease guys, or even this podcast, I find that we have an uphill battle to start right off the bat, right? Because we're not from the States. If we were from the States, I think we get more attention, and people, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm coming across making sense.
No, if you would have told me 10 years ago that there's going to be waterfowl hunting show on an American network based out of New Brunswick, I would have said no, like
good
not
point.
a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah.
And those guys are defying the odds. Like, Matty has his whole, I'll call it a career.
Mm-hmm.
He's from a province. If you picked any province in Canada, he's been in the World Duck Competition twice. In Stuttgart, he's beating the odds out of somebody who's just from a province that's not known for waterfowling really at all.
No.
And he's one of the best there is around from coast to coast. Like
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be when it comes to dog training.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't even tapped into what he's the best at is his dog handling and training ability, right? He's a freak, man. He just he gets it, and he wears his heart on his sleeve with it, and he loves his dogs and everything he does it. And I remember when we had him on, he talked about making that jump when he went from, just part-time dog training to this is going to be my income. This is going to be my business. And it's a leap of faith. And a lot of people had, like you said, oh, it'd be amazing to just do that for the rest of my life. Well, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You just have to have the drive and the commitment and the dedication and the knowledge.
Absolutely.
And once you do that and you can take that leap, you can make it happen.
Wow.
But it's easier said than done.
Yeah. Wow. This just turned into a waterfowl lease
plug.
Yeah. Wow. Hey,
I expect.
Yeah, we
hunts.
we expect some invites, boys. I don't even know if they listen to this show.
I don't know. Probably not, but
probably not.
Probably not. No, Julian doesn't live. Well, he lives in Yarmouth. He's a fisherman, so I
he's a lobster fisherman.
Once in a while. I chat with him once in a while. So
he's a good dude too.
He is a super nice guy. I'm gonna try to bug him, see if he wants to come up this way.
Yeah, of course.
If he's not guiding for them, and then maybe I can get a sea duck hunt out of him on the other
eider
side.
hunt. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
So Julie, if you're listening to this, I'm open for offers.
I'll whore myself out for an eider hunt.
Yeah.
Because I seen a picture. I don't know if it was an old picture or not, but there was a picture the other day, and I think it was Julian, and he was setting up eider nesting. I don't want to say they're boxes because it's like a triangle.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a lean-to, eh?
It's almost like a lean-to that they made for the eiders.
Do they go on rock islands and stuff like that later?
Yeah, right up on the rocky beaches of the North Atlantic, and they just put, I guess, just to stop anything from flying overhead, like gulls and stuff like that, right? Being able to swoop down and grab them.
It's different.
But it'd be cool though. We don't have them. I never seen eiders back where I'm from.
Oh, they're here. I've seen lots of them.
Yeah.
When I lived closer to Halifax, we'd see them all the time there.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Have you ever shot an eider?
I have not, and so I need to.
Mm-hmm.
So Julian, come on.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. But
Yeah.
so, and again, I'll talk about this, and then that's it for Matty Wilson and his fucking crew, because he's got
is over.
Yeah, he's got his 15 minutes of our podcast here.
He doesn't need our help anyways.
Yeah, he doesn't need our help anyways. But remember last year, Sean Stahl came up and hunted with him.
Mm-hmm. They filmed the video for RNTV. Yeah.
Yeah, they done an episode for RNT TV.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. And I can remember. So here's the cool thing about New Brunswick is that geographically, I don't know if there's going to be another place in Canada where you're going to hunt like how those guys hunt.
It's unique for sure,
dude. Like they're up on the side of not a mountain, but on the side of a hill with all the geese down below, and they've got to fly up from the river and fly up this hill to get to their feed, right? And so you're watching them leave the water and come up this big, and it's not a mountain, it's not the Rockies, but it's not a molehill either.
Coming up a couple 100 feet.
Yeah. And I always remember listening to that episode and Sean Stahl going, what are we really hunting here? Like this is insane, right? And this is a man like Sean Stahl that's hunted everywhere. in North America, everywhere.
Yeah.
A little teaser for anybody that's listening. There's a whole thing happening out west with some legislation with regards to the outfitters and freelancers. And for those of you that know Sean Stahl and his exploits around North America, so he spends a lot of time up in Canada. So Sean's going to be coming on here in March, and we're going to have an episode dedicated to that very fact and talking about these changes because, and this is me, I'm not super educated on it yet, but I honestly do not see any benefit for the freelancer or the outfitters when it comes to this. But that's me. That's just on the little bit that I've read so far. And this is going to be a polarizing topic, you can be sure. And there's going to be a lot of different opinions on it. So that'll
be a good episode.
Yeah.
Because like Sean probably makes a third of his living on this side of the border.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it's going to affect him, and B, how it's going to affect a lot of guys who probably circle September on their calendar to come on this side of the border to chase birds on their own.
Buddy, I'm like talking to him through emails, like back and forth, and we're talking about this, like he's not pulling this out of his ass. Like the stuff that he's talking about, like he's naming towns. He was like, from this town to this town. He was like, I've spent the last 5 years in between these towns hunting, and we're the only ones that's around. And like, he's not pulling it out of his ass. This is not somebody that's just, spewing off for the sake of spewing off. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. So it's going to be a pretty polarizing topic. And I'm sure that if the five of us are on with Sean, so making six, I'm willing to bet that it's going to be a 50-50 split on what we think is, or who we think is right. Because I think everybody is going to have a difference in opinions when it comes to this. It's going to be a crazy good show.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to that. I want to hear his side of the argument. Like I said, he spends a lot of time up here in the early season, so it definitely affects somebody like him. So I want to see his perspective on it and listen to it. And I work for an outfitter, so I can understand kind of their perspectives on it. I know how like freelancers get in the way sometimes, and room, if not done correctly. A lot of guys come up here from the States and think Canada, you don't need permission, you don't need. That's not the case, and they just go set up in the field where there's birds, and it's not how it works. But that's not everybody, and that's
Nope.
definitely not who Sean is by any stretch of the imagination. So, but I want to, like you, I haven't read up on the legislation at all. Sean's the one who brought it to our attention.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good, man. It's going to be a hot topic. We're just kind of on the forefront of it right now.
Yeah. And the thing is I think, like everything in life, and Ryan, you've spent a career in the military. I've spent a career in the military where our life has been dictated by this, but the 1% of people that make bad decisions affect 99% of the people that are just listening, right? And paying attention and doing what's right. So I think that's what the huge problem is. But again, I don't know everything about it. And I promise I'm going to do a bunch of research before we get Sean on here, because I know he's quite passionate about it, and I'm
curious to see where this legislation, or what this legislation was born from. Was it from like outfitters complaining? Was it from landowners? Or is there something else that we're not thinking of off the top of our heads? Why this is coming into play?
My thing is, like, I try to always think first about the economic factor of something like this, right? So if I apply that to the outfitters, well, listen, they're set up, they have a business to run, they have a livelihood, they have employees, they have bills to pay, mortgages, all that stuff, right? So I'm very much on the side of the outfitters. Initially, when I seen this, I was like, I'm on the side of the outfitters. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, you know what? If you think about the freelancers that come into an area, the amount of money, so they're not going to an outfitter, but they're still dumping a huge amount of money into the local economy. However it is they're doing it, if it's the gas station, fueling up, buying their food, getting their beer, their snacks, sleeping in a hotel or whatever. I just, man, and I told Sean this the other day when I wrote him, I said, buddy, I am completely torn. I do not have a side on this, right? As I am right now on the information that I know right now, I have no side on it, because I really cannot pick a side. It's crazy.
No,
it's good.
I'm in the same boat. So I've really, and I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion.
I know, buddy. I know. I brought it up, and here both of us are here, and neither one of us know enough about it to really go on a good rant about it. But
Sean's fired up on it, so it's gonna
Sean
be
is really passionate about it, and in the podcast world, we call this some foreshadowing or climax building. We're just baiting the hook to get you in for the episode. We're building it up.
It's like UFC coming. You gotta subscribe.
That's right. But yeah, man, like we're almost about that 60-minute mark now, Ryan, I think so. You and I have rambled on. That's pretty good. Just the two of us with no real topic, and we rambled on for almost 60 minutes.
For a couple of knuckle draggers and mouth breathers, we did okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not bad. Not 235 like you, Matt, and Wes, but
that was a long podcast, man. I remember, and you listened to it, but you've heard Matt say a bunch of times, he's like, every time we end up talking about dogs, and this is what happens. We're an hour and a half in, and we're doing is talking about dogs. And I'm like, I love it, man. I'll talk about, I can spend every episode talking about dogs.
Yeah.
Everyone, like Bill Kennedy is down in South Carolina right now, and
did he take Lander with him? Or?
No, he didn't take Lander with him, but he came back last week because his mom had passed away, so he just come back to get some stuff squared away for his mom and get all that stuff squared away, right? And then I was like, I messaged him. I was like, you know, I'm really thinking about sending Lander back down with you, right? Like it's winter time. I'm not getting her out to train as much as she would like to. And he's like, you know what, man? He said, I don't think she needs it. And I was like, really? He said, well, no. He said, you don't do trials. He was like, if Lander was doing like field trials, then yeah, 100%. He said, but you just want her to hunt and do some hunt tests. He said, when we start training in April, he said, you got more than enough time to be ready for the upcoming season and a couple hunt tests that you want to do. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. And he was like, you're not, if you were doing field trials and you were, and, you know, she's running, you know, 4 or 5 field trials a summer. Well, then, yeah, send her down and cause she needs the time. Right. But, so anyways, Lander could thank Bill that, because as much as she would love to go down and train every day, I am certain that there's some anxiety there with being away from me. So, and I can't go down there. I'd love to go down and train dogs all day long, but I get about 8-10 days down there away from home. And then I'm like, I'm going home. I've had enough of being away from home. I'm going home and I'm taking my dog. So, but you know, that's me. Anyways, buddy, great show. Thanks for coming on. I know you are an extremely busy man. You've got a young family. You've got so much on the go, buddy. And I really do appreciate it when you do make the time and you can come on. I love having you on and I love being able to pick your brain and for a Habs fan, you're not so bad. You're way better than Vitch and you're way better better than Philly too. I know Philly, but I'm saying this now because I know Philly listens to every episode. That I know.
Miss it. Yeah.
He don't miss it.
Member.
He is a dedicated member. So I know, but yeah, buddy, thanks so much for coming on. It was great. And I'll give last words to you.
Yeah, man, it's always good to like shoot the shit and talk about what we love to do. And man, I'm looking forward to this year. I got a little bit more free time on my hands, so I'll definitely be more consistent. And yeah, it's awesome, man. Like I look forward to it every week.
We're doing this hunt next year, man. And if I can plan it out right, if I can plan it the way that I want to plan it, the tail end of the hunt will end up in Nova Scotia. Because if everything goes right, I'm expecting Mark to fly into, like, say, Ottawa or Toronto. I'll pick him up and we'll drive. We'll do the hunt, and then we'll end up in Nova Scotia where I can drop him off, right? And he doesn't have to fly back. So just a one-way ticket. I'll drop him off in Nova Scotia. We'll do our final hunt in Nova Scotia, which, you know, in November, early December time frame when those black ducks are just when those black ducks are just ripe for the picking.
I'll have something lined up.
Oh yeah, I know you will. Again, buddy, thanks so much for coming on. It was a great show. At least I think so. And I'm a little biased, but I think every show is awesome. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Union 0430. It's only 2 of us tonight, but as always, we'll never pretend to be experts. We are who we are, just a bunch of friends that love one another's company, love talking duck hunting. Surround yourself with good people, big love, and talk to you next time.